the 9th edition of the Nigerian Internet Governance Forum. And this is organized by the Nigerian Internet Governance Forum with the multi-stakeholders advisory group. And this meeting comprises of the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, National Information Technology Development Agency, the Internet Society Nigeria chapter. We have Creative Technology Development here also in collaboration with the Internet Community Stakeholders. We're all here. This program is for 2 days, 11 a.m. daily. And the theme for this year is Achieving Inclusive Digital Economic Development in the Post-COVID-19 Era. It's my honor to be a moderator for this event. There are going to be different sessions throughout the day, and I'm going to share the agenda with us now, so that everyone will have an idea of what it is that we are doing. So I've copied it, and if you check the chart, you will see it. I don't know if you can see it now. So from 11 a.m. to 11:40, we should have the welcome address by Mr. YZ, who is the Executive Director of Center for Information Technology and Development. So, sir, if you are here, the floor is open. We can have your welcome address right now.
Oh, Simon, I can't see YZ. I can't see YZ here.
He's here. I can see him amongst the participants. I don't know if...
No, give him speaking.
Please, the host unmute him, please.
Unmute him, please. Let him speak.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
We can hear you, sir. Thank you. Sorry.
Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome everybody to this segment of the National Internet Governance Forum, which is the Women Internet Governance Forum. The Women Internet Governance Forum is actually holding for the first time as a pre-event to the National IGF. And its main objective is really to mainstream more women and girls into the discussions about the governance of IGF. We realize that in spite of various efforts by both government and non-governmental actors, the gender dimension of the digital divide in Nigeria is still visible. There are few women that are taking part in the professional circles. There are few women participating in the annual IGF, and we felt that it is a space for every stakeholder to voice his or her opinion so that he or she can contribute in the shaping of the internet that we desire. So we thought about doing this in order to create a forum for women to discuss issues that affect various is engaging with ICTs in general, but more specifically with the internet. What are problems they are facing? What are the likely solutions that we can provide? What are the policy implications of what we would be discussing, and how technology intersects with issues like domestic violence, access to education for women, access to professional opportunities and so forth. So these are basically what we will be discussing. In this keynote address, we have one of our very first, the first professor of computer science in Nigeria, a former chairperson of the Computer Professional Registration Council, a former president of the Nigeria Computer Society. So she has an excellent understanding of the terrain as a student in those old days and as a lecturer over so many decades, training to train young girls and men to become IT professionals. So we would like to tap from our own experience as a teacher, as a former student, and as a professional in the sector. I don't think that we have any other person better than that to tell us what are the challenges that girls and women face in terms of access to ICT and as to the benefits of ICTs in Nigeria. We will have two other sessions following the keynote address. One session will be moderated by the former National IGF committee, currently the chair of the West African IGF, Mrs. Mary Oduma, who is a veteran in this sector. And we have another Amazon of the sector, Mrs. Edith Edogu, who is the executive secretary of NIRA, to be part of the panel, along with Mariam Abduharuna of Center for Information and Technology. The second session will be moderated by Mrs. NAD. NAD is a third speaker in this panel. And the third session will be moderated by NAOP, who is the country director of Action Aid International Nigeria. So with that, I'd like to welcome everybody. I would like to specifically thank Mrs. Mary Oduma, who has been the brain behind pushing this particular segment of the IGF. She has been supportive and very encouraging and dedicated to ensure that more and more women have access to policy space so that we can have policies that are not just gender blind, but gender sensitive in terms of this content and in terms of this implication. We also like to thank the IGF committee for agreeing to partner in this particular initiative of encouraging more women to be mainstream in the discussions and to commit to an agenda for ending the digital marginalization of women and girls in our country. And I thank all panelists, moderators, and particularly our keynote speaker, Professor Adenike Osofison. Welcome everybody once again. I wish us a very successful deliberation and successful IGF that would help in terms of ensuring that more women are able to tap into the benefits of ICT and internet, and able to assist for education, for professional advancement, and for economic empowerment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the welcome address. It was really detailed, and I'm sure it shed light on all our moderators and speakers. Thank you. We can, if Professor Niket here, may please give us the keynote address. Please kindly unmute her. Hello?
Can you hear you? Is she among the finalists now? The finalists, please? If she's on there, can she just kindly indicate by raising up her hand so I can make her panelist?
Okay, Professor Nika, please, can you kindly raise your hand so that the host will see you and unmute you so that we can have your keynote address, please? Okay, I think since we are yet to identify who, if she is here, we can move on to the first panel session. So I will hand over this meeting now to Madam Mary to moderate the first panel discussions.
Okay.
So Madam Mary, over to you, please. We can always circle back to Professor Nika later during as the webinar unfolds.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you everybody for joining, and thank you panelists. This session we are going to look at the topic is women and the internet policy space, and the second topic will be women, domestic violence and lockdown due to COVID-19, and the third one will be women, digital, marginalization and the imperative of remote working. So this is session one, and I'm happy to be your moderator for this session. In this session, we have women that are lined up to speak to us on this. Mrs. Edith Udag from Nigeria Internet Registration Association is the first person to go. We know that the COVID-19, as we have seen it, has opened our eyes to know that not only that we are dealing with the pandemic, we are also dealing with violence, domestic violence. We are also dealing with non-connectivity. Some people are not connected, some women are not connected, some women don't even have access. And so we'll be looking at what policies should the government put in place to make sure that women have access. And so the person that is going to do that for us is Mrs. Edith Udagu from Nigeria. She's the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Internet Registration Association, Lagos. Edith, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, Math. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be on this platform. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to share the knowledge that I have, and I'm praying that we all have interesting deliberations today. Okay, I would like to share my slides for this session.
You may proceed now.
All right, thank you. All right, as I've been introduced, Edith Udagu from the Nigeria Internet Registration Association. We're the managers of Nigerian identity in cyberspace. And we're here to discuss about women and the internet space, policy space in Nigeria. There's an outline. So basically, we're all aware that the internet is a very powerful tool which helps to drive economic growth and expand our social opportunities for everyone. It empowers and it has empowered people. It has changed the way and manner in which we communicate and has served as a catalyst for social change. The internet has opened up new words and new ways of thinking. With the internet, we can go online. We need to carry out our assignments. We need to carry out any job, anything that we don't know how to do. We just go on the internet, Google how it's done, and we're empowered. We get the knowledge on how to do it. So the internet equally provides lots and lots of opportunities for information sharing and knowledge sharing as well, and lots of data sharing. okay? And but we've observed that for several reasons, which we are aware of, the internet is not available in the same proportion for everyone. We have situations where, though women make up a large number of the population, women don't have equal access to the internet as men. And the situation gets worse when we come to developing countries like Nigeria and some other parts of Africa. For women who are living with disabilities, those who are living in rural areas, they don't have as much access, even if they have any access to the internet. But the statistics has it that up to 16% of women are online. And in July 2020, I saw that NCC states that 42% of, slightly above 42% of Nigerians have access to the internet in this country. So what role do women play in Nigeria? We know that Nigerian women make up to half of the population, and we play a key role in our society. We're the nurses in our homes, we're the mothers, we're the teachers, we're the chief executive officers, we're the doctors. Women play all sorts of roles in society. And we contribute immensely to the society and economic development of the Nigerian economy. We are hardworking, very hardworking, and we're breadwinners. But we found that again, that women are not as appreciated as their male counterparts. While some of us are doing the same career, the same assignment, playing the same role, we are paid less. You can even see it when it comes to sports. Even in this country, we have situations where the male footballers get more paid than the female footballers. But we need to really change the dynamics in this country. So as in all other countries, Nigeria has a broadband policy plan and strategy to enable internet access. But the 2013 to 2018 National Broadband Plan set out to achieve so many goals, but unfortunately could not achieve all its goals. One of the goals it was supposed to achieve was educate women in the use of and benefit of ICT. But this goal could not be achieved because of the challenges with issues of affordability, the devices that the women use, the internet, so, but in December last year, 2019, a presidential task force was equally set up for the Nigerian National Broadband Plan for 2020 to 2025. It was inaugurated by the president, and the chair of that committee is our own Mrs. Funke Opeke, the CEO of Main One. Now, with this particular broadband policy, it has recommended many initiatives to make internet affordable to all Nigerians, and equally has a clause that is going to improve the access and affordability to drive digital inclusion and reduce the gender gap that Mr. YZ had mentioned earlier that exists in our environment. So, what do we use the internet for? We all must realize that the internet is gender neutral and is an acceptable medium for transformation and empowerment. Women too have embraced the use of the internet as a viable tool. We use it for communication, we carry out research, publish articles, we carry out all businesses online. People who want to teach others how to cook or to carry out so many other assignments, go on the internet and post it. There are several media that we use for accessing the internet. People use they use their WhatsApp, they use all the social media platforms. And using the internet, we can get to all these platforms. People have used it for entertainment. We all know what's been going on during this COVID-19 time. And expanding the internet access for women, we provide a significant boost in our national income. So, how powerful is the internet? In 2019, we are told that 26.6 African women are using the internet. And these women, when they use the internet for the right reasons, derive benefit through it. We know that some people are using the internet for the wrong reasons, but when the internet is used for the right reasons, it can provide for us economic and educational opportunities. For people who are studying, I want to do a PhD. I have been trying to go through the internet to find out the right program I should be on, and those who can offer scholarship and the duration of the PhD, the particular area I would like to specialize in. The internet provides me that opportunity. And the internet provides us with the opportunity to support our communities. It enhances our career prospects because we are always learning, we are always sharing knowledge on the internet. People have used the internet to mobilize other people for social reasons. There is this one that they call GoFundMe. You know, people who need help, medical help, they go on the internet and post it that people should assist them. The internet has helped us in our careers and life advancements. Some of the certifications that I've had to do, and so many other women have had to do, we go on the internet to study, look for materials that help us with it. But we've come across so many challenges on the internet. We women have encountered so many challenges on the internet, which has hindered us from harnessing the benefits that are available to us on the internet. The two major things that have affected us are time and money. Time, because most of the time when we want to go study on the internet or do some research work, we always have to remember that we have families, relations that we have to cater for. And that has reduced and affected the amount of time we spend on the internet. And an average woman, rather than spend the money she has to go on the internet, maybe buy a very good device or a laptop or buy data for the internet, she uses that money to enhance the life of her family. It is norm. It is the way we have been built and the way we think. Our families come first before any other thing that concerns us. There are several other challenges that affect women in the internet space. And some of these include, we don't have enough women in decision-making positions that can say, look, we want to implement this for women and we want to insist on it. We unfortunately always happen to be the minority in decision-making areas in government. Our family commitments I had mentioned earlier.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You need to round up, please. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay. All right. So we have issues with low literacy level, high unemployment level, poverty level. All these affect how we go on the internet. We are constantly harassed on the internet, and the relevant content they don't seem to be available for us on the internet. And then we women tend to shy away from posting things on the internet that will be of benefit to others. And we have infrastructural constraints like power and the devices. We have women who are prominent in the internet, in the ICT space. We have Mrs. Omobola Johnson, former minister. We have Mrs. Uduma, our coordinator. We have Professor Sofison, who's supposed to give the keynote address for today. We have the younger ones, Omowale and David Ashiru, who is the country director for Andela. We have our own Oreoluwa Leslie, sorry. So what is the way forward? We need to develop smart policies that will be beneficiary to women. And government needs to make deliberate efforts to close the gender gap. We need to empower women educationally, economically, improve on the infrastructure on ground. We need to change our attitude towards the use of the internet. I mean, we women need to change our attitude towards the use of the internet and create more visibility for others. So what are these smart policies that we should have on ground? There should be policies against cyberbullying. There should be policies to enhance our access to the internet and provide the relevant content for us in the language that we understand and help us with our education. We need to mentor ourselves. Excuse me. We need to educate the girl child, give her the same opportunity that we give to her brother. We need to educate the safety on the internet, and we need to make internet more affordable for women. So in conclusion, the ideal internet is one where women can innovate, exchange ideas, run businesses, participate in society on equal terms with their male counterparts. We must close this gender inequality, and we must realize that the internet can serve as a catalyst for social change and empowerment. So expanding internet access for women will be of enormous benefit to the Nigerian community. An informed Nigerian woman who is connected and educated will be able to contribute more to the economic and development of the country. And we must all remember the African proverb, educate a woman and you have educated a whole nation. So we must have the right policies and make it affordable, and make internet affordable for the Nigerian woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Udagu, for this insightful presentation. Stop cyberbullying, provide access to women, and give us equal opportunity, educate the girl child, make internet affordable for women. These are policies we want to send to the government. So thank you very much. That was very, very insightful. And we are going straight ahead to the second topic, which is women, domestic violence, and lockdown due to COVID-19. We know that there is the issue of lockdown. How has the lockdown affected the women? What recommendations can we bring to the government and stakeholders to be able to alleviate such thing in future when we have pandemic or when we have emergencies? So to deliver this topic and to speak with us is Miriam Ado Haruna. Miriam is a program. Okay, Miriam, you can introduce yourself when you want to speak. Let me not do the repetition. So the floor is yours, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So good morning, everyone. Just like
why is it? Yes.
Mrs. Mary Odoma rightly said, I'm Mariam Ado Haruna. I'm the Program Officer for Gender and Internet Advocacy with Center for Information Technology and Development, say that. So I'm already sharing my screen, and like it has been stated, I'm going to speak on women and domestic violence during the lockdown. So as countries across the globe, okay. Okay, so we're going to look at the issues and challenges that happened during the lockdown. CITAT realized that there was a lot of increase in gender-based violence during the lockdown, and we decided to carry out a research to find out what happened, what were the things that occurred during the lockdown, and how did the internet facilitated, how did the internet helped in supporting women during the lockdown. So it's the increase in gender violence, it's a global concern. Like there was a lot of concern from what you could see from local reports and even international reports on the effect of the pandemic on gender-based violence. And we all know that this gender violence has either double-folded or even in some cases multiple-folded in the increase of sexual and domestic violence in the world. For instance, if we're talking about Nigeria, we have seen the cases of Uwa, we have seen the cases of Shannon, which have whose husband almost killed her. We have seen a case of in KB where a husband chopped off the hand of his wife, and a lot of other cases that we have recorded during the lockdown. So of course, as countries across the globe have made various efforts to suppress the transmission of COVID-19 and its socio-economic impacts. However, the unprecedented crisis unfolded in the context of many pre-existing challenges, and one of them was the gender dimension of access to basic needs, like access to basic needs in the world drive of gender inequality. It has been exacerbated by the pandemic. Those challenges have been exacerbated by the pandemic and impacted women's enjoyment of human rights, including their economic and socio-cultural rights. We have seen how the pandemic has affected women in so many perspectives, from their financial status to their lives to their human rights, all have been violated as a result of the lockdown that was imposed to curtail the pandemic in Nigeria. So in the attempt to suppress this transmission, lockdowns was one of the globally supported measures to prevent the spread of the COVID-19, and to also help in improving the health of the nation in general. However, what did that mean for women and girls? It means that women were trapped with their abusive partners. It means women were trapped with their abusive spouses in some cases. Girls were trapped with their family members, abusive family members. Girls who were locked down with their abusive fathers. We have seen so many cases where fathers were the ones raping their own daughters, and so many more. So these are some of the issues we have seen, and we didn't even speak of femicide that happened during the lockdown. So all this happened as a result of the lockdown, which has forced a very close proximity between the abusers and their victims. So now let's look at what's happened. I mean, what did the ICT offer to women, or what kind of support women got from ICT during lockdown? So I know we already know that we have seen how ICT was used during lockdown in Nigeria as both facilitator and a tool to respond to victims of sexual and domestic violence with the necessary support they needed. So from the information we gathered in the research we carried out, several gender-based violence response teams adopted the use of technology, such as online platforms on social media, on web chats, to reach out to people in abusive situations and give them the necessary support they needed, as well as enable them to report such cases. If we look at the statistics we got from the the victims of this gender violence, we will see that most reports were done either via phone calls or through social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and others. So we can see that technology has enhanced reporting of so many cases, reporting of many victims, and in return, they were able to get the necessary support they needed. We have also seen how the internet was used as an advocacy tool to counter rape and other forms of violence. We have seen how technology was used to put pressure on government and other stakeholders to take the necessary actions against the increased gender-based violence we have been experiencing. We have seen a series of webinars all over the internet by different groups on rape and other forms of violence and actions that needed to be taken at that time of the lockdown. In general, we can say that the internet has facilitated a lot of outcry, a lot of campaigns against gender violence, and it was used to show solidarity of support for victims. We have seen this movement by individuals, we have seen this movement by groups of women and youth, we have seen this movement by a group of CSOs, which wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have the access to internet because of the restriction of movement. So if we also look at the economic perspective of women, many women engaged themselves in online businesses and were able to make a lot of money to support themselves and their family. So these are some of the things that happened during the internet and during the lockdown, and the internet facilitated all those things. So, however, what about the people that don't have the access? So access, affordability, availability, and lack of skills have hindered a lot of victims from reporting such cases, especially in the rural areas. So we cannot still determine the number of rape cases that has not been reported. Also, a number of domestic violence that occurred and has not been reported cannot be established. We can also not talk about the femicide that happened, which were not able to be reported. So lockdown restrictions has left a million of girls, women, and people of all gender to become vulnerable to growing shadow of the pandemic, including cyber violence, including exploitative grooming of children, and with limited access to help. So for so many people that have the access, or that could have had the access, this would have meant a lot to them. This would have been a life saving to them because they could access help they needed with the internet. But for so many that cannot, it means nothing. All this support that were offered online, they couldn't get them because they don't have the access. And also to emphasize on this, many women and girls from the rural communities or semi-rural communities cannot be found on especially Twitter, and especially Facebook, where most of these campaigns and awareness and advocacies were taking place. So also our findings have indicated how abusers kept monitoring and spying the devices of their victims. They also seized their mobile phones to deny them access to reporting. They kept threatening them that they're going to suffer more if they even try to make any reports or make people aware of the situation they are. So we can understand what kind of life these women has experienced during this lockdown. And if we look at the statistics we have today, we can say theoretically mobile technology has achieved full coverage of this country. It can also be said that it's like everyone has access to internet. But if we look at it critically, we know there are a number of women, a large number of men and girls who do not have this access. So it's something that is kind of deceiving. It's appeared as if people have this access, but there are a large portion of our population, especially women and girls, who don't have this access. So, on the other hand, if you look at the constraint of education, if you look at the constraint of money, a lot of women cannot even buy the phone. A lot of them cannot even afford to buy data if even they have the phone. And a lot of them do not have the digital skills to use these services. So if you compare the number of men and women that have access to the internet, the number of men is higher. If you compare the number of boys and girls that have access to even a phone, you see the number is higher. And if we also going to compare the number of boys and girls and women and men that have access to smartphones, we realize that the number of men and the number of boys that have these smartphones are higher. So they also have better education. They have better technical know-how on how to use this stuff. So they have better access than to women. So we're going to look at the most
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. You should be rounding up now, please.
Okay. So we can see rape and domestic violence are the most prevalent form of gender violence that happened during the lockdown. We can also see that the health challenges and the mental health of women has been affected during the lockdown because most health facilities were locked down in fear of the spread of the virus. And in so many cases, women reproductive health were not available for them. So it has really affected them. A lot of them were even scared to go to get those help because of the, because they are afraid to contact the virus. So online violence was also, online gender violence was also been deployed to intimidate women. And we have also seen how their financial status was affected because most of them were daily earners, and most small and medium businesses were being affected greatly. In fact, the effect or the impact of the lockdown on the financial status of many women and other people in general is yet to be realized fully. So for the recommendations, government should articulate and implement a national digital inclusion agenda. CITAD has in the past come up with a digital inclusion agenda. It's a model or an overarching framework which could be used to achieve that. It's available online. We have the hard copy as well, and it could be used as a model to achieve all those things. So there is also a need for greater access to technology and skills for women and girls to use technology, which we all know that it's going to improve greater reporting in the cases of gender violence in case something similar could happen in the future. And women empowerment can also not be overemphasized. We know how important it is for women to get access. So, empowerment. So we also need to ensure the protection of privacy and rights of women and girls as part of a large agenda for the protection of privacy and rights of users. Because we, just like Mrs. Edith rightly said, fear of being spied online, fear of being of getting exposed online has hindered a lot of women from accessing the internet. So we also need to, as civil society, they have roles to play. They also need to demand for free and cheaper access for especially women and other vulnerable groups. Okay, so thank you. I need to stop here.
Thank you very much. Insightful again. Women, reproductive health affected. Affordability, accessibility, and availability also challenge. Rape, even fathers raping their children. Financial status went down, and the need for digital skills, and comparatively, the men and the boys are doing better. I don't know. Well, when we are rounding up, you let us know. The other, you have given us what you think government should do. What will other people do? But we'll come back to that. So at this time, I want to hand over to Ene. Madam Ene will introduce herself, and she will tell us, she's going to look at women digital marginalization and the imperative of remote working. So
thank you very much.
All right.
I appreciate this time, and I appreciate the earlier speakers, and I'm glad about the digital divide. You can see it in their presentations, my presentation and their own. So these things are practical. I'm happy to be part of this. I'm part of the conversation I'll be supporting to push forward this morning. Is also that what did I benefit in all this, especially the post-COVID, even before COVID, as a result of digitalization. So the presentation will be simple. We'll just look at what are the benefits, just to reinforce what has been said earlier. We all know the benefits. Then what is the call to action? What are we going to tell the stakeholders, and what are the messages? So let me first of all say here that the data that the two speakers read all shows that there is a big challenge that we are facing. and we need to address very quickly. What I first of all like us to look at is that, as an introduction, is that issue of digitalization should be viewed as a human right of everybody, then particularly of women, because of the numerous roles, the role that we play in society. What people talk about, the octopus role: hands, legs, eyes, ears, heart, soul, spirit, and body is involved in everything we do. It means if there's anybody who should be empowered within the context of digital empowerment and capacity building, is a woman. In health, in livelihood. I used to remember when I see the advert by one of the tech companies that data is life. I say, how can data be life? But honestly, data is more than life. When I say about that is that you might have life and you are not having it fully, but with digitalization, it enhances higher productivity, it enhances your quality as a citizen, as a professional, as an intervention, as an advocate in every area of life. You cannot do without digitalization. We may not have it at the same level. So it's important for us to view it as so that the conversation will not look like these advocates have come again with their demands. When we're making demands, we're making it within the context of the right base, efficiency, and other rights. So if it is important, if it's a human right, if it's a right, an embedded right, that should be even a constitutional right to be part of the digitalization process in terms of the accessibility and availability, as well as the access. It means we need to do everything possible as stakeholders to be able to get this done. I just like us to also look at this situation that when we are planning for digitalization, we should not be modest. We should be radical and ambitious in our thinking, our striving for universal connectivity. This is my thinking, and this is my take. The next slide, please. If you look at the opening slide, I had said there that digitalization is beyond just mere computer knowledge. That has been reinforced by the two speakers from the depth of their conversation. Next slide, please. Then what I've said here, regrettably, even the post-COVID and the COVID era engagement online, we don't have sufficient data to prove that this is what has happened. This is how men, women, girls, boys, persons with disabilities, older persons, that is the senior citizens, young girls, teenagers, schoolgirls, professionals, bankers engaged, so that all their programs we are doing, we did it with several kind of focus, leaving out the statistics that we will come back to have this statistic. For every webinar where you had, the highest I have seen was 300 plus. But did we take the statistics? How many women? What was the age range? Though you may not be able to get certain details, but basically the sex you could get, and when you interrogate further, you'll be able to get how they engage. That would have helped us as a country, but it's not too late. We can go back to look at the data we also collected. Then I said digitalization robs grassroots people, especially women, as a result of not being affordable, accessible, and available, because the infrastructure is not there. Even those of us who live in Abuja, there's still that divide. So it's a major challenge for us. The next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Well, we have said this. This has been emphasized earlier, so I don't need to dwell on it. I would like to dwell on the call to action by everybody. We say men traditionally, either by error or deliberately, ahead of us. Women now. Somehow, look for example, take for example at home, we don't do it unconsciously, that when you buy a new device at home, you either equipment or television, whatever you buy, even kitchen aids or domestic aids, things you will need to use to enhance your power or to save your time. The next thing, if you have a Tom and Jane, you say, Tom, please, can you come and look at this for me? So that as a result of that, would deepen the the digital divide unconsciously, and sometimes policy makers will take it forward. Then there's also a challenge of policy misdirection and lack of political will. I like us to look at what our sister had made mention of. I like us to read it, so I'll put it on my slide later. I got that from the internet because I was involved. When Mobolaji Oshoma was in the Minister of State for Communication, she particularly empowered women. Who is tracking that? Who has been able to see what happened with the massive intervention she did? That would have been able to close the wide digital divide between men and women, boys and girls, different professions, and the demographics within the Nigerian stakeholders. We miss that. Then I said there are also natural, biological, as well as environmental situations that are also barriers to equity. So this is a combination of human and artificial barriers that cause it. So I'd like us to also be able to look at it so that when we're advocating, we don't advocate blindly or sentimentally or emotionally. Okay, go to the next slide. The next slide. Yes, I said we cannot end this conversation without looking at the deprivation to individuals, communities, and nations, as well as the well-being and higher productivity. I also like us to look, okay, the next slide. This had been emphasized by this. Okay, this was what I mentioned earlier, so we can go back to look at it. The initiative that Omobola Johnson did as minister said, and she's still doing so much. I'd like us to understudy and see how we can connect with her so that the conversation can continue. Go ahead. Go ahead. Good. What are the actionable and measurable recommendations I want to do? Let me start from individuals. We have discussed earlier that most times parents, guardians, they just create that divide unconsciously or consciously. So they begin right from the family level, they begin to create that digital divide. You do this, you do that. Then most of the females go becoming engineers, high-tech engineers, aeronautic engineer, and the rest of it. They are not able to aspire because we had already discouraged them from the beginning. So we need to be careful how we relate with our boys and girls right from the home. We also need to raise the curiosity of boys and girls so that equity will have it. So because the child is overburdened, we need to raise her curiosity and particularly pay attention to her. The boys could rush out at night and somehow we just neglect it and say, you the girl, you cannot go out, even if it is for a good cause, even when she's safe. So we need to look at it at that level. Then the private sector, let me start with the tech companies. In South Africa, I saw during the COVID that they reduced data and the access to even call card drastically, I think by about 60% or so. I heard the president, I listened to the president comment on SABC. We need to do that here in Nigeria. I don't know why the same MTN that is there is not able to do the same kind of policy, though I don't know the details. So it is important for us to be able to engage so that the tech companies see it as a right to support the increased participation of women in various ways, even building part of their base and improving the kind of tools that women use, whether at home, for cooking, for trading, for all other things, even for child rearing, for tracking their children, even in terms of violence against women. Then I would also like us to be able to look at government, your policy consistency is very important. Focus on women, that has been emphasized earlier. Then what about the faith-based groups? Many of the things too have gone digital. So how would you want to encourage both female and male so that we balance that equity there? So how will you want to contribute to an all-women training or capacity training, even for them to move towards equalizing the opportunities? We NGO, then the women ourselves, how do you make yourself available within the shortest time you have so that you can acquire enough power? so that you also engage different groups of people. I know we are limited in so many ways, culturally, but this is about war of survival, productivity, and total well-being. The next slide. Yes, this is very important. I almost became a victim. We know too that there's so much of bullying, there's so much of emotion that goes through digital engagement. Sometimes women so trusting, so much in love, they want to behave like foolish or stupid or silly sometimes. You'd send a man, I tried to search for a picture that I wanted to share, that a man asked a girl to send him a picture. Certainly they are in love from the conversation. A picture on a bathtub. You can't be on bathtub with your clothes on, definitely. Even if you have to, even if you are a plumber, you know. So the girl now dressed very well and took the picture. The man was disappointed. Sometimes when women are in love, they get emotional and they just can pass their phone to the next person, their laptop, and they use all this information to bully women, to blackmail women. So we have to be careful. Even also in like we are doing this now, where I'm at home, you have to be careful so that you don't expose yourself unduly for so many reasons, whether you are fully dressed, it's a ball game. We heard about somebody who was on box side, unknowingly, his hand touched the camera, and the camera was on, and despite all the calls, he was not able to take it off until he said, "What is it that people are calling now? We're on the same Zoom meeting." They say, "You are in a boxer, please." You know, he ran and went up the thing. It almost happened to me too. I was tired, 3 laptops on the bed, and I was just casually dressed. You can imagine that kind of thing. People could think that it was deliberate. Then we also need to be careful about dangerous sites. Also careful about indecent exposures, and also what we send that. The finger can put us in trouble if we are not careful. So generally, this is an area that all of us, particularly women, because of the responsibility we carry, that we need to be part of of digitalization for too many reasons, so that we can deliver on all our responsibilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You've done it again, Madam Ene. Okay, so she went straight to let us know where it's hurting most, even when we work from home. Working from home is not as easy as that. First, you spend more time. Second, you can be caught off guard. Third, that we would have to be careful. She has enumerated safeguards. At this time, I want us to open the conversation. If anybody has any question or comment, please, you can raise your hand. The host will roll you in, and you can ask your question. We have about 5 to 6 minutes to do that, because we started late. Okay, we have 10 minutes because we started late. Okay, so please, if you have a question for any of the panelists, or else we ask them to give us their concluding statements. Raise your hand, the moderator will roll you in to ask your question, or you can type it in on the question on the chat. We can see it. Thank you. I'll be waiting. If there's none, then we'll go ahead to ask the moderator, the presenters or speakers, to round up their speaking engagement. Thank you. Hello, any hand up? Yes, there's a hand up. Please, I have Hassan Ibrahim. Please, can you speak? Hassan Ibrahim. After that, Oluweshen will speak. After that, somebody that has 433127, and then Adeleke will speak. So Hassana, Hasana, please, sorry, I'm sorry. Hasana, can you speak, please? Please, moderate host, can you unmute Hasana to speak, please?
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Good morning. My name is Hassana Ibrahim. Mrs. Mary is Hassana from Women Will.
Thank you very much, I know. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you. I've been following. I think it's a good program. I understand Mrs. Mary Edith too is here. Good morning. I'm happy that both of you are here because you're both two people I look up to, and I hope to be like you someday, hopefully. My question is not really like a question because I lead a program for women, and sometimes some of these questions come to me and I need to have the answers to them. Now, my background is computer science. I have a BSc in information system and a master's in advanced computer science. Now, my reality is I finished school since 2015. I was able to start an IT company. It's still ongoing, but because of the economy of Nigeria and sometimes it's about who you know and all those long legs. Why I'm talking now is because personally, I'm supposed to encourage women and girls to go into technology and all of that. But I will tell you, in all honesty, I have not really achieved what I want to. What am I trying to say? Because I was hoping I would be able to work in a good place where I would practice what I learned and also learn more. But unfortunately, I have not been able to do that. That's why I started an IT company. Now, I'm at a point where I'm questioning myself, like, did I make the right decision going into this field? Because to tell you the truth, I'm considering going for nursing next year because I have not been able to achieve anything much with this field. Yes, I'm leading a community, a Google initiative where we, empower other women. I think basically that's all I do in this field now, to be honest with you. I have not been exposed to the opportunity to see that, okay, this field I chose have been, it was a good decision. I have not,
Okay,
I have
Hasana.
applied for, oh, sorry.
Okay, Hasana, please,
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, I'm going to interrupt you a little. We have heard your concern, and the next session will be looking at education and workforce for women, and that's where we will answer your question. But if any of the presenters want to answer the question, that's fine. But let's take that question. And both presenters, speakers, you've noted her question. Let's give Vinsala, Oluwaseun Vinsala, please. Can you unmute Oluwaseun to speak, please? Host, please. Host, please. Unmute Oluwaseun Vinsala to speak, please.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay. Oluwaseun, good afternoon. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Mary Uduma. Actually, my name is...
If you can show your face, we would like it. But go ahead.
Actually, my name is Oyindamola Sodoro. I had to use my colleague's link because I couldn't find the link to join the meeting. Again, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Damola Sodoro. I work with the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy in the e-government department. It has been a very exciting day listening to the different presentations. I just wanted to make a comment about the presentation made by Mrs. Edith Ideaku. She talked about content being created for women. I just said I should put this out there that I think the focus should be on women creating the content, the kind of content that they want to see as African women, Nigerian women. we should be out there creating the content that we want to see, because nobody's going to create the content for us. We have to create the kind of content that we want to see out there for other Nigerian women and girls in ICT. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Your question is noted. When they are rounding up, they will answer those questions. Yes. Now we'll unmute Mweke to speak, please. Nke Mweke wants to speak. Unmute her. If you can show your face, we'll like it. Okay. Nke Mweke to speak, please. Can you unmute Nke Mweke to speak? If you can't get her, can Moji speak? Moji has her hands up. Can you unmute Moji? Moji to speak, please. Makunjola, Moji Makunjola, please, wants to speak.
Yes. Can you hear me? Good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, we can hear you, ma. Go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, I would not like to take too much of your time because what I wanted to say has just been echoed by my sister who spoke before I was called in. I think that we need as a people to start creating our own content. What if we really want to build a solid content resource in country, and so that we don't get the influence which is affecting our people, the Western influence, some of them that are affecting us negatively. So it's important for us, to start thinking of being creative and building our own content. Beyond that, I'd like to say that we provide what we call an inclusive resource center in Uke in Nasarawa State, where we can, as a cluster, we can get a cluster of women who we can actually teach or who we can build capacity to use technology appropriately. Technology has come to be, it is going to be our way of life, and we cannot actually leave it to just those who think should know it. I think it's important that we build capacity, more capacity, and we are open, and Auntie Ene is aware of these resource centers, so we can send in where this resource center is situated so that people can use it, and particularly women. It's inclusive, and people living with disability also in particular. Overall, I'd like to say thank you for bringing this conversation on. It should be a conversation that should continue, and I would speak with you later privately on how we can bring it and give it more visibility than just what we are doing here today. God bless you, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you. Thank you for the information, and thank you for your commitment to this cause, and that we'll continue with the conversation. Surely we will. So, Nkemweke, if you are ready, can you, host, can you disable, can you unmute mute Nkemweke to speak, please?
Ma, I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, great panelists. Nice presentation.
Oh my God.
I'm just wondering now. Any of the I'm just wondering how some of these it's not a place for them to be, no matter how much you try, or that they feel the younger generation difficult to really make them understand that it's a hello.
We didn't get all that you said, but if you type it in, that would be.
All right, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you very much, Edith, Ene, and Mariam. I'm not taking in. Maybe Madam Ene will start the responding to the interventions and questions, how can Hassana get job in her chosen profession when she has tried, and the other interventions? Ene, can you respond to that? After that,
I responded partly to Sister Hassana. The best thing you can do for yourself, God has helped me to read economics, I read accounting, and I read journalism. If I was wiser, if I knew, if I had good counseling before now, I would have been on my own. Yes, you need experience to be on your own, but the wild net has given us that leeway to be able to do that. So Hassana, you have nothing to regret. Let's have the conversation after this. You heard what big auntie Chief Mrs. Mojima Kanjoala said. There is so much opportunity, is finding it. So that's why I'm encouraging us there that it is a human right for everybody who want to provide access, who want to be online, for us to advocate for that to happen. So if you look at it from human rights perspective, it means in budgeting, in affordability, in everything that we can do, even oversight by the National Assembly, let us do it. You have not made the wrong, this, and on the content, that is the best thing to do that is culturally and traditionally compatible to our context. That is when you have a safe online engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Edith, do you want to comment any of the interventions or questions?
Yes, well, thank you. Yes, thank you everyone for who has intervened and passed the comments. Hassana, nice to hear your voice again. I actually believe that we need to have deliberate policies that need to be designed and deployed to get women online. And to encourage, it's quite challenging at times, and it's very, very, very difficult when you're in a male-dominated environment. It's tough. But one thing I've learned in life is that the tougher it gets, the better I get. I stick to that thing as long as I believe in it. So Hassana, please don't give up unless you believe your calling is in another direction. Then please go ahead. You know, and we need to have deliberate policies that will give opportunities for women. If you have a situation where a guy and a young girl goes for an interview, and they all perform reasonably at the same level, the opportunity should be given to the young lady, because the challenges, we know that people tend to prefer to have men in work environment. But really, I can tell you that women are usually more dedicated and very, very productive when it comes to work. So we need to have such policies that will encourage women to go to work. There was a chat. Somebody posted on about women who post wrong contents on the social media platform. We should know that we have relevant government policies that deal with such situations, and people should be very careful and encouraged, not because.
Chief Moji, please, can you mute your mic, Chief Moji, please? Chief Moji, can you mute your mic, please? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we need to have all these deliberate policies that would actually channel towards getting women, empowering women, and giving them all the necessary opportunities, right from when they're going to school, like Madam Ene said earlier on, you know, give them the opportunities. Let parents not hinder the growth of their children by trying to channel them in the so-called way that a woman or a girl child should go to. Give everybody level playing ground, and whatever they make out of the opportunities that are presented to them, then they will be better human beings for it. Yes, I did mention earlier on that women tend to shy away from posting contents online, and that we needed to make sure that we have the relevant contents that are relevant to women, whether those in the rural areas, with the urban areas, those with disability. We all have to contribute to this content, not just women alone contributing to the content. you know, we must all work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miriam, there's a question. There has been advocacy for gender digital rights. Are we sure the women in the community are sensitized and carried along? Because it is only the educated that are on the table of discussion and decision. So how do we get those at the grassroots to be involved? I mean, the internet is not accessible like in the developed world. This is from Zainab Yahaya. Please, Miriam, you are going to answer that question. The next question is, please help us how to identify good and bad web, like for job and the business, please. So Edith, you will come back to answer that. So Miriam, can you answer the first one? How will we get it to the grassroots, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so this is what we have been talking about, and in some of the recommendations I gave earlier, we said that these infrastructures that will enable access are not even available in most rural areas. Like even to make a phone call, sometimes if you are in a certain community, it's very difficult for you, talk less of trying to connect to the internet. So it's a sole responsibility of multi-stakeholders, including the government, including the IT companies, including the internet service providers, to make sure that these infrastructures are available in these communities, and even the semi-urban communities, that those things are not available. And we also ensure that data is as affordable as possible for these women. And also it's responsibility of women, like women in the tech, to go into these communities, to sensitize these women, to try to educate them on the importance of the internet, because most of people, they think the internet is something bad. This is what we have been dealing with. They think the internet is something that is bad, that's only what you get from the internet is going, it's negative impact, it's going to have negative impact on you. So it's a responsibility to all of us to reach out to those people in those communities, to sensitize them on the importance of the internet and how they can become better using the internet. And also we need mentorship. We lack mentorship. So it's very, very key to solving this problem. And besides that, I also want to talk about the content. It also applies to this question I'm answering. A lot of women, especially the rural communities, don't understand English, and most content on the internet is in English. So I don't understand English. I don't understand the thing. Why should I go there? So we need lots and lots of content, not just those that are relevant to women, but those in the language women understand. We need to have lots of content in Hausa. We need to have lots of content in Yoruba. We need to have lots of content in Igbo and all other languages we have in Nigeria. This will enable people, especially the women we're talking about, to go to the internet to get what they need to get. So it's surprising, or it amuses me whenever I try to translate something on the internet, maybe from English to Hausa, the kind of jargons I got cannot even be comprehended. So it's really a job we need to do. And it's something that we cannot get it done right now, but we have to push. We have to keep doing it in order to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you for this, and this goes to emphasize or to support and to what Chief Moji had already told us. There's a resource center. We should strengthen that resource center. If it means converting English to other languages, technically, let's have that conversation. So Edith, your work, you are encouraging people to go online. You are encouraging people to go online. This person is saying, please help us. This is from Hafsat Tahir. Please help us how to identify good and bad web link for jobs and businesses. I think, Ene mentioned it, that you should safeguard yourself. Please, Edith, can you answer that question?
Okay, I would like to contribute and say that we always need to be sure and safe online. So when you're looking for reasonable, good websites, good websites that provide good opportunities are usually secured. They start with what we call is HTTPS. That S that stands for security must be there so that you know that it's a secure website. Then again, check the top domain, the TLD, top level domain for that particular website. Check the name. There's certain domain names that you see, you know outright that those ones are just not, they're just either out to scam people or harvest your data for whatever they want to use that data for. Then we must all know that government opportunities, government jobs, whatever government is offering anybody must be on a government platform. Do not click on links that have personal names, personal domain names, or personal, government things are usually on government platforms. That is the way you can know those who are serious and those who are not serious. Please do not click and wait. When you get certain emails that says, oh, click on this for these opportunities, look at the domain name. Just take your mouse and hover on top of that to see the name that is appearing, because some of them will redirect you to places you don't want to go to. There's so many good opportunities, there's so many bad opportunities, but you must, like they say, shine your eyes in Nigeria so that you don't click on the wrong links. So let me just reiterate it again. Make sure it is a secure website. If it's a government opportunity, make sure it's on a government platform. On a government platform in Nigeria, we talk about anything that is on .gov.ng, because it is regulated. So therefore, all government platforms are secure. The ones that have been breached, normally we do things, they're cleaned up so that people don't get misled. And then good job opportunities do not use their personal names. They use the name of the organization that they are representing or the cause that they are presenting. So be very, very careful. And if it is educational environment in Nigeria, it's always on .edu.ng. They are regulated, okay? So for good opportunities, those names are usually, just make sure it is on .government and it is on .edu and that is a secured link and that you don't go on platforms that are redirected. And please try to avoid things that are offering you free money. There's no free lunch anywhere, at all. There's always a catch, so you need to be very careful.
Okay, thank you very much. Ibrahim Ramallah, we have already answered the way to reach the rural women. Miriam did the answer, but there's an anonymous one. Ene, can you see it? Ene, can you see it? The anonymous. I do appreciate the presentation because, especially in my community, it looks like, I mean, it's shameful if you let your daughter go to tertiary institution. Can you imagine what, in this 21st century, Ene, can you tackle this for us, please?
Yeah, it's not, somebody had raised this and we are all responsible for these gaps. Even in I am a survivor I'm a survivor child bride. Is it because my father is from far north like we stereotype? No, it still happens. I think it's failure of civil society, NGOs, faith-based organization, corporate Nigeria government, allowing just advocacy to stay and intervention to stay in urban areas. It doesn't go even within FCT here. There are things they still do that are not, that anti-development. So it's not something shameful. It's not something, it's annoying. It's surprising somehow, but it is also our fault. So all that is telling us, just like Chief Mrs. Moji mentioned earlier, that their intervention is in Uke. Why is it that she's not doing it in Amak or in Buhari? So it also shows us that we need to do just like what Action Aid is doing, a lot of engagement within communities. We need to do so much of those engagements within the communities. It is possible. We can follow up with what the person has said. We can follow up with what this person has said now, so that we can support her with whatever intervention. Thank God that our sister Enne will be the comrade, the indefatigable rural advocate is here. Not only advocate, she's a practitioner over time. Too many people are here. They will be able to support her. So if we get across to her, let's see what can happen. She doesn't need to feel ashamed. Thank you for the courage of bringing this matter out. It still happens. I went to school by tears. It didn't work. It was tough. So you can imagine how old I'm not up to 100 years. So you can see it's as recent as a few decades ago. So it's something we should do. It's a call to action that all of us must disaggregate our engagement to go to rural areas and reach people who may not be easily reached, but can be reached. So this is just a summary of it. So thank you very much, the anonymous person. But you need to make yourself known to the organizers so that we can get solution.
Please make yourself known to us. Send a private, send a text. Tell us your name and how we'll contact you so that we can continue with the conversation. I know Madam Enem will take it up. I know Madam Moji will take it up. I know Dr. Yahoo will take it up. And I know Edith and all of us that are on this platform will take it beyond here. We want our people to be online. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we are done with the, some of them have been answered online. Madam Kem's intervention has been answered online. Thank you very much. So at this time, I'll give each of you 1 minute to do your message and your recommendation, punchy ones that we are sending to the stakeholders. If there are questions we have not answered, we'll answer them later. Please, I can see some people putting up. There are other ones from Bashir Gali and from how do we secure a partnership with Parents and Teachers Association for free online safety workshops. Most parents and teachers are not enlightened, and the subsequent training and building. I will just answer this. We have the panelists have already answered this. Madam Moji has also offered. Damola has also said something, and Edith, and we'll take it up from there. We'll still answer you. We'll get back to you, Chidema Ude. We'll answer you, okay? How can I have the gender, please? Okay, sorry. I do appreciate the presentation, okay? In my community, we have answered that. Okay, so, Madam Enem, is there anything else you want to add that you have not added? And Miriam, if you want 2 minutes for each of you, and at the end of those two minutes, I will stop this.
Well, all I just want to say is for us to take action. I'm grateful that we have already started taking action. The conversation is flowing. Our sister from Ministry of Communication will need her contact. Let us have a network. Let the conversation has just started. I'd like us to increase it. Let's go back to see what Mrs. Omobola Johnson did. Very impactful thing. Where are those people? Let's track it and see where those young women she empowered are. They are women now. Where are they? So there's no limit to this engagement, and it's a human rights engagement. And for me, that is VAP coordinator, I will look for even somewhere that we can use to also hold people accountable, because it's about holding people accountable. If we don't hold people accountable for what they are not doing well or what they are not doing at all, it is easier within a structure. So we have to provide ourselves, make ourselves, hold me accountable too as a VAP coordinator if I'm not doing well. So the way to go is a call to action for all of us. Let's not look too much backward in terms of what we failed to do, but what can we do now? It is an emergency. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, and Madam Ene. Miriam, what's your pungent message and recommendation?
Okay, for me, what I would like to tell us is that we know for every society to develop, its women must be developed as well. And today we know that there is no development in any society without ICT, without technology, and we would be left backward. So we need to do all necessary actions. We need to take all necessary actions to make sure that our women have access to internet. Our women are well developed, just like the other men in our country. It's a responsibility of everyone. It's a multi-stakeholder responsibility. Government and its agencies, the IT companies, women as well, politicians, IT companies, internet service providers, we all have roles to play. Individually, we have roles to play. Media also have a role to play. Everybody has a role to play. The school management in private schools and public schools, they all have roles to play. All we need to do is to ensure that we are doing our responsibility, and the little contributions we're all going to offer will take us will take us a place we want to come someday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll have to be responsible. Edith, your last minute, your 1 minute or 2 minutes message.
Okay, okay, I would like to say that we must all use the internet for the right reasons. A couple of people are using the internet for the wrong reasons. We must use the internet for the right reasons. We must have deliberate policies that will encourage women. We must make sure that they can have access to affordable devices, affordable internet access, and we must fix our infrastructure in this country so that it's not when somebody, you're trying to get some work done, then there's no light. Couple of hours, your battery is drained, you can't achieve what you need to do. And we must all support one another. I'm not saying we should not support the men. I'm just saying that we women must reach down, reach out to fellow women. Those of us who have matured, who are higher up, we must make sure that we bring up the younger ones to take over from us. Even if we try, we cannot last in that position forever. So we must reach out to the younger ones and encourage them. If we don't do that, nobody will do that, because we must arrange for them to take over from us. And we should never forget the fact that it says that when you educate a woman, you've educated a nation. Because the men, when you educate them, they do their own stuff. But women will always care for themselves, for their families, first and foremost. So you must educate the woman, provide all the amenities that she needs to provide the necessary support for her family and the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this is where we come to stop with our session. It has been very, very interesting, exciting, educative, and also informative. And there's a call for action. So we have to have the action group. After this meeting, I would work with CITAD to see how the action group would start off, and we'll continue the conversation. Thank you everyone for being here. Please stay with us. We still have some interesting sessions for you. I hand over to the moderator, the compere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Miriam. It has indeed been a very interesting panel session. Remember, Madam Nika was supposed to give us the keynote address, and I can see her now. So, Madam Nika can give us a quick keynote address before we go on a short break. Please kindly mute your mic if you're not speaking, please.
I'm on. Okay.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. I'm very sorry for coming a little bit late. Well, the Dr. Yao and Mrs. Doma knows why, but I won't dwell on that again. So I'm going to start my keynote address immediately. So I start by saying, distinguished participants, resource people, invited persons, men and women of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to deliver this keynote address in this year pre-event of the 2020 National Women IGF with the main theme of Women, COVID-19 and the Internet. First of all, I wish to express my thanks to the organizing committee for providing me with the opportunity to participate in this important event and to deliver a keynote speech. The title of the keynote, Promoting the Digital Inclusion of the Girl Child, is very dear to my heart, and it is a right turn paradigm. And a right-on paradigm is a solution that comes from innovation and thinking outside the box. The right-on paradigm is performance-oriented rather than merely being about sex or rank or even government. And I would like to say that I've made a copy of the keynote available to the organizers, so everybody should get a copy. The digital inclusion of the girl child must be addressed as a stand-alone goal of the MDGs in order to truly conquer gender inequality, injustice, and poverty in the 21st century. When we look at the 2030 Sustainable Developmental Goals adopted in September 2019, there are 17 of them, and they are zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, clean action, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice, strong institutions, and partnership to achieve the above goals. Actually, promoting digital inclusion of the girls will come a long way towards achieving many of these 17 goals, and we shall talk about that later on. First of all, who is a child girl? Who is a girl child? Any young female child who helps with housework, works in factories, makes friends, cares for elder and younger family members, and prepare herself to take on the responsibility of adulthood can be called a girl child. Though the girl child plays multiple roles in the household, in the society, and in the economy, and the child guy eventually grows to be a woman. Taking care of girl child eventually translates to taking care of the adult women. So when we take care of the girl child, we are starting from the beginning. And from the beginning, we will reach the end goal of women. Unfortunately, most of the time, we talk about women and we leave the beginning alone. All over the world, women with higher levels of education are better able to handle a crisis. They are able to protect themselves and their families from the effects of natural disasters because they can provide a better quality of care for their children and are better able to prepare, adapt, and bounce back. That is why education of a girl child is of utmost importance. So now we are talking about digital divide, but to make my paper flow very well, I will still talk about the digital divide. The digital divide is a technology gap, and it's the difference between groups with access to technology and the internet and those that do not have access. Girls and women often have less access to technology and internet compared to boys and men, particularly in developing countries like Nigeria. Girls and women struggle to afford technology and internet access. In addition, stereotypes around technology being for boys and fear of being discriminated against stop girls from using digital tools. The gender divide in access to the internet remains largest in the world's least developed countries, and it is at least 32%. And the internet gap is largest in Africa. And what is the impact of the gender digital divide? Without equal access to technology and internet, girls are not able to equally participate in our ever more digital societies. Holding back girls in this area affects every aspect of their lives, including the ability
Professor
to speak.
Nika, you have 2 minutes to round up, please. Sorry to interrupt you.
I'm sorry, this is a keynote address. I don't know where a keynote address is giving only 5 minutes to talk about. If you want me to give the keynote address, I will give you. If you don't want me to give the keynote address, I will stop talking. It is a keynote address and it's supposed to set the pace. So do I stop or should I continue? If you want to give me 2 minutes, because I've not even gotten to the meat of the pattern. This is the preamble I'm talking about. Anyway, what I eventually talked about was this paradigm shift that we need to take care of. Hello? What we need that we see, and I said there are 5 capitals, because when we talk about this digital divide, it has something to do with with capitals, and there are 5 different types of capital: physical capital, social capital, natural capital, human capital, and financial capital. And you find all the definitions of this capital in the paper. And these 5 capitals, you can now map them into a strategic and innovative path that's called a framework for digital inclusion of the girl child. And this framework included 5 things: technical infrastructure, which is mainly the work of the government; digital awareness programs; the know-how, understanding basic IT skills; digital opportunity; and digital empowerment. The last 4, all of us can participate in the last 4. It's only the technical infrastructure that is the business of governments alone. And in the paper, I've discussed about all those the 5 aspects of the framework: technical infrastructure, digital awareness programs, the know-how, understand basic IT skills, digital opportunity, and digital empowerment. If you are truly interested in promoting this girl child inclusion digital, we need to put all those 5 things in place. And and I asked myself, where is Nigeria within the framework of these 5 items? When it comes to infrastructure, we are talking so much about infrastructures, and we know that we are still not there yet. But when we talk about the remaining 4, there are things that all of us on this platform can participate in. And I gave examples of 4 women, 4 women, one in the 70s, one in the 50s, and the other 2 in their 30s. I'm the one in my 70s. I have a framework, I have a foundation called NoGive. And this foundation, the essence is to have the agenda. We have a 8-point agenda for this foundation: Girls ICT residency, National Girls in ICT Day, annual quiz competition for girls in ICT, annual workshop for girls in ICT, girls in ICT computer correspondent course, multimedia pictures of world famous women computer scientists, word charts and posters of world famous women and computer scientists, database of world famous women and computer scientists. We have done the first 4, and the last 4 are still an ongoing thing. And for the residency program, we have had at least 2 residency programs, one in Ibadan and one in Lagos. You will see all of those in the paper and those who attended. And we made sure that only girls between age 10 and 20 attended. The real girl child, those are the ones that we target to us. The second one, which I also illustrated, is the Chidi Okafor Inspiring Girls for Chidi Okafor Ignite program. Chidi is in her late 40s, and she is doing a lot of work in bringing up girls' child alone, not just women and everything mixed together. And our own, you find that the goals of Ignite was to create an awareness that girls can have a successful career in science and technology, be role models and mentors for teenage girls, increase the number of girls in science classes, show how women can have technology success career and still build their families, show that technology and engineering can be fun and are not just for the nuts alone. And she has also held so many conferences and workshops along this line. Then the third person has something called Tech Girls Club. She's Ronke Sapere, and she's in her 30s. And she started operation in July 2019. Everything is in the paper. And the aim of our club is to engage secondary school girls in after school and summer activities in STEM fields, to introduce STEM courses to girls, for them to explore their future opportunities in STEM programs, and so on and so forth. And you find all those things in the paper. And then the last female I also spoke about is Ibital Mohammed Adamu. Ibital Mohammed Adamu. She has a club called Girl Tech. And in her own case, she targeted this one towards the northern female, alone. And it is to raise awareness of underrepresentation of girls and women in ICT career and studies, to raise awareness of changing face of the ICT, to raise awareness of range of careers in the ICT industry, and so on and so forth. And Girl Tech also had organized some events, and you find those events also in the paper. Then the last one, because it's not that government is not doing something, government also has what we call digital girls. And digital girls, what they did was to have give opportunities to girls between between 13 and 18 years old. And what they do, they they asked girls to form a team of 3 in the secondary school in Nigeria, all over the geopolitical area of Nigeria, and entries are required to give detailed description of a proposed project or idea that each team can use ICT to solve. Then they take the best 6 participants, and prizes were awarded to 4th, 2nd, and 3rd winners, 500,000 naira, 300,000 naira, and 200,000 naira. But the prizes are awarded to support the innovations of ideas in the winning submission. So what the reason I'm saying that I want us to start thinking about what I called a right shift turn. And what I mean by right shift turn, we have been talking, everything is not just government. We alone, all the women I was talking about, they are not rich. Some of them are very, very young, and yet they are doing their quota in promoting the child girl inclusion in the digital world. So my own proposal is a complete radical from everything that we have been saying today. Yes, government has a role, but we as individuals, we have a role, and we do things that are concrete and not just talking and talking and talking and talking to bring up these girls and to make sure that they become listed girls. So what I concluded was that there are many initiatives that are going on, but I'm zeroing on this because they are mainly for girls between ages 10 and 20. And my paper was supposed to talk about promoting digital inclusion for the girl child. So that's why I didn't go into women, I didn't go into boys, I didn't go into all other initiatives that we'll be talking about. So digital literacy is promoting the digital inclusion of the girl's child. Without digital literacy, digital access cannot empower the girl child. Digital services are creating leapfrogging opportunities for the girls. Therefore, girls must be empowered to key into these new opportunities. The emerging societal work services provide the extra means to empower girls. There is need to provide more capacity building projects to help the girl child harness fintech, apps, mobile and digital platforms to improve their lot in life. This will translate to producing more women entrepreneurs, political leaders, researchers, and top-ranking educators in the future. We are entering what is widely referred to as the 4th Industrial Revolution, an era where development of new materials, breakthroughs in the field of genetic engineering, and digital transformation are increasingly blurring the lines between the physical, biological, and digital worlds, with multiple industries being disrupted. Those without relevant digital skills for the future workplace are at risk. The bad news is that girls and women are likely to be disproportionately negatively impacted, according to a World Economic Forum study. One key reason is that they are relatively underrepresented when it comes to jobs which are expected to have the most growth in the next 5 years in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics profession. Diversity and inclusion are widely recognized as an important competitive strength. This also means there is tremendous opportunity for girls and eventually women to play a central role in driving innovation and progress. Across a span of 200 years, there have been inspiring women such as Ada Lovelace, the first acclaimed programmer in the world, and Grace Hopper, the first person who invented the first linker, who have helped transform the world we live in by pioneering technologies that many of us find hard to live without today, provided that women are just capable of achieving great success in the digital world. So my own is that for girls and women to have success, great success, and become political leaders, great entrepreneurs, that is what I'm advocating for. Through digital awareness programs and campaigns, digital opportunity, the know-how, and the knowledge-basic skills, digital opportunities, and digital empowerment, we can achieve a world where women and girls can live and lead without fear or discrimination. The girl child will then have a right to be safe online and to be free to speak without harassment. We can create a world where the girl child and women can play a significant role in the 4th Industrial Revolution. That is my message today. For women, especially girl child, to play a significant role in the 4th Industrial Revolution. We have been talking about all these other things and nothing, I don't know, for me, nothing is happening. Let us come out with concrete, all of us on this platform, concrete things that we can do to make sure that we promote girl child, we give the girl child this opportunity and we bridge this gap, and these girls can become somebody in life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you so much for your key address. So we're supposed to go on a break. I don't know where. Madam Mary? Hello, Madam Mary?
Yeah, if people can just stand up and stretch well in 3 minutes and we continue. You roll in the next.
Okay, so if I hear you clearly, we should have a 3 minutes break.
So that if people want
1 minute after 1.
Yes, 1 minute after 1 will start.
Okay, that's fine. Please.
So there's no reaction to the keynote. I know it's a radical departure from what we have been saying. And me, when somebody knows me, I'm very radical because I'm very pragmatic. I don't
we'll come back to it when we are closing. We'll come back to it. Thank you.
I have a lecture, so I have to leave for my lectures now because I have a lecture at 3 o'clock.
Okay, so
anyway, the paper is available. I've sent it to your email, maybe, and I sent it to Yahoo's email, so you can distribute to everybody, so that everybody
Prof, usually when the keynote address is given, the Oga has spoken, so we can ask her questions.
No, it's like I've done. Me, I know that the reaction is going to be diverse.
Okay.
Yahoo, you know me. I am a pragmatic person. I don't like talk. I like action. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We want action, and what the starting point is that we shouldn't stop this conversation here. We should take it beyond here. We should also put up. That's why we wanted
to say that we don't want. Don't let us say only government should put this on place. Government should. There's so many things that we as women can put in place for the girl child, and that's what I'm advocating for. Let us put things, and that's why I even spoke about 2 young women. One from the north, she's a Ibiton, she's in her 30s, and it's Aquere from the south. She's also in her 30s, and I've chosen somebody from the southeast, Chichokafo. She's in her 50s or no, late 40s. So these are the kind of things, and nobody speak about these people because they are not government. They don't have a godfather or whatever, but they are doing very good things for the girl child. Let us begin to emulate this kind of people and celebrate them ourselves. Don't let us only celebrate people in government. That is also my message. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We also have Dr. Wumi Hassan that is doing a lot. We have Mata.
They are not targeted towards girl child alone. You know, my title of my thing is for the guy, the girl child. You know, those ones I miss back. But these ones are targeted towards that group of people. And that is what we need to do, catch them young. Yeah. Because when we catch them young, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We'll reach out to this. I took down the names. I will Google them and we'll reach out to them and also encourage them and bring them to speak to other people. And we connect, we network. I know Dr. Wisey would do that effectively with CITAD. We are grateful for that information. Thank you, Prof. It has been very exciting. And we'll also have taken note. We'll look at the paper as well. We'll analyze the paper because it will bring some of the ideas into the communique that will come out from this meeting. Thank you, Prof. again. Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I have to take my leave because I have to go to school.
Thank you. So, Compare, the moderator, please take over.
Okay, well, it's 2 minutes past 1. We're supposed to give a 3 minutes break. So if it's okay, Madam Mary, we should still go on the 3 minutes break.
No,
so
we go ahead.
By six minutes after 1, we'll reconvene and start the second session, please.
Let's start the second session. I don't think is difficult.
Okay, on your instruction, madam, we can start the second session now. So the moderator for the second session is Mrs. Ene Obi, the Country Director, Action Aid International Nigeria. Madam Ene Obi, if you are here, please, you can unmute yourself and start your session. Thank you very much, madam.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We are under pressure from this group because our time is fast spent. It means our time is going to be crushed. And so we will move quickly. I want to start by saying a big thank you to CTAD, especially YZ, for his contribution to women in the digital world, to internet and women. You know, his contributions over the years have always amazed me. And so getting to discover more women in the internet world, you know, it's really amazing to see some of the things that we have been able to do. I want to thank all the speakers and also the moderator of the last session, you know, for the great work they have done and for the the stage they have also set. And yeah, also to reflect on how Nigeria has gone, you know, so far on the internet world. And I remember going to, the Youth Building the Future conference as a student in 1990 at the American University in Cairo, where I was invited to the computer lab of the American University. And for me, it was the first time I was seeing computer in front of me. I had no idea where to boot the computer. Again, in 1996, I was in Italy. I went to study workers' information technology, and I was confronted with that. The nearest server to Nigeria at the time was in Zambia. But when you look at today, how far we have gone with the internet, you know that we have come a long way. And you know that many barriers, no matter how it stands tall, will be broken down, you know, and the technology will have its way. So I think we have gone somewhere. We really have improved. And so to go straight, I have three panelists, speakers who in this panel, and I want to quickly introduce them, and then we'll go to take it one by one. We'll be taking like 10 minutes to look at what is going on. Many of the speakers have alluded, you know, I want to say, when you are mentioning NA also, NA Ubi and NAAD, you know, a lot of similarities. She's my sister, but sometimes they mistake us for each other. So please put the surname when we are putting out the NAs now. Wonderful work, you know, with what you have done out there. So thank you so much. We have education. A lot of people have alluded to education, employment, and access to internet, you know, for women. It will be taken by Mrs. Martha Alade, who is the coordinator, you know, Women in Technology in Nigeria, Women in Tech in Nigeria. She's in Lagos. And the second speaker is Ms. Saada Aliyu, the founder of Shamrock Innovation Hub, Kano, promoting greater access to internet for women. She's going to speak on that. And then we have the last but not the least speaker, Ms. Chizoba Onoha from Chilit's organization. She is going to be talking of women and digital entrepreneurship. So this session is going to take it up from, you know, just talking about digital and taking it to entrepreneurship. And so I have the privilege and honor to start with our award-winning, you know, personnel who has achieved a lot. Martha Alade, are you here, please? Can you take us through education? Somebody has talked about education, and I tell you, education means a lot, even in the internet world. And you know that we have a high population of women not educated. And so people have talked about, you know, some children not going to tertiary education. I can tell you that we have done a lot of things where, you know, ActionAid has gone to communities where some young girls have never gone to secondary school, and now they're in secondary schools. And so let us listen to Martha for 10 minutes. We'll come back to you, but 10 minutes, I think, is good time to go through your presentation, and then we'll come back with questions, and then you round up. Please, Martha, are you here? Martha, can you unmute yourself?
Host, can you unmute Martha, please? Host.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay,
yes,
so thanks
yes.
to the organizing committee for having me. I'm so grateful and I'm honored to be a part of this wonderful program. So the COVID-19 has immensely highlighted the importance of internet access and affordability. It instantly transformed the internet from a privileged resource to a public utility. Unfortunately, this pandemic reinforced the digital gender divide that we have been striving over the years to close. Now, according to the World Bank, at the current rate of internet growth and adoption, universal affordable internet will not be achieved until 2043. That is about 23 years from now. And achieving the universal access goal, therefore, will require closing the global digital gender gap. Now, the good thing is that for the first time in the history of connectivity, we are experiencing a global epiphany of the power of the internet. However, about 2 billion women and girls around the world face barriers to internet access. The previous speakers have done justice to that. They've talked about the barriers that women face, such as social and cultural norms, limited digital skills, poverty, and ignorance. Now, these barriers prevent women from accessing key resources that are important for, for their lives, for their education, for their employability. Now, provided by connectivity. So it is well established by research that fewer women and girls have access to technology, especially in developing countries like Nigeria. And it's even more devastating that the pandemic has moved all aspects of our daily living online, including education and employability. So what that simply means is that women and girls have limited access to education and employability and employment resources in this era. Now, one of the previous speakers mentioned that she was a child bride, but thankfully she went around it. And okay, so thankfully she went around it and is successful today. Now, I would like to join her to harp that truly the society has not done enough to ensure that women and girls have access to the internet. The whole world has witnessed firsthand the critical roles played by women in keeping everyone sustained during the past few months, either as caregivers or as educators at home. Majority of the children locked up and forced to learn from home were tutored by women who played the roles of both caregivers and assistant teachers, while also supporting their spouses as providers in the home. So we can clearly imagine and visualize the huge loss any country will bear that has not invested significantly on women and girls' access to the internet. So, and we know that women nurture, it's our nature. We are nation builders, and that is indisputable. We need more women at the policy table to fast track more gender, friendly politics. A mother, for example, who is intellectually and socio-economically empowered would, as a matter of fact, extend that prowess to her children and others around her. So internationally accepted indices, for example, like the World Economic Forum competitive indicators, clearly depicts that the quality of any nation is directly proportional to the quality of the women in that nation. So now that education and employability are both driven by the internet in this new normal, then as a matter of compulsion and urgency, all hands have to be on deck to ensure that no one is left behind when it comes to internet access and affordability. So it is not just the government responsibility. In fact, we are aware of some of the efforts that the government has put in place to address this issue. For example, the Nigerian Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy has the Digital Girls Club that Professor Oshofison mentioned. And I don't know how many of us are aware, the ministry also have Connected Women Initiative that the ministry is currently running to reach out to women at the grassroots. The ministry parastatals also like NCC and NIDA are various digital literacy and advocacy initiatives. NCC is currently running advocacy programs. My organization is going to apply as well. It is open for grassroots women organizations. Like I wish Mrs. Oshofison is here. Those organizations, young women she's talking about, have the opportunity to apply for that for that opening by the NCC. It is open to everybody. I have not applied. I will apply. My applying does not stop any other person from applying, because I believe the NCC has a credible committee that will choose who they want to work with. So that is an opportunity for grassroots organizations to key in. I believe in the long run, or very soon, through that channel, they'll provide maybe some kind of funding and support for credible grassroots organizations to reach out to women on digital literacy. And we know that government players, like non-government players like WITIN and CITAD, have remarkable programs for advancement of women and girls. CITAD is doing an amazing work, reaching out to women in the North and across Nigeria. So in April this year, now in the previous session, a lady asked a question that she studied computer science and also a master's, but she doesn't seem to find her footing in computer science now. And I think this little scenario I want to put forward could help her. Now, in April this year, during the COVID-19 lockdown, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy announced via our social media handle and other online platforms of our partnerships to enable Nigerians acquire cutting-edge digital skills within the comfort of their homes. Now, one of such of the interventions provided 850 online tech courses for free. The truth of the matter is that with internet, education is almost free now. All over the world, Google has announced, other multinationals have announced, even the minister himself said it, that the focus, the source of survival or let me say, the way to survive in the digital economy is not just having education, but having skills. So it is now up to every advantage of those resources that are available for learning, for education to make everyone. So that is just it. It's available for everyone to really go into. So when the ministry that opportunity, and a lot of them went through the courses and they posted their badges and achievement online. Now, I was following the progress of the ministry because it really, such a call can be open to everyone, including, men and women. So I was following the ministry handle on Twitter. I personally counted that for every 10 persons that posted their badges, only 1 or 2 females showcased their badges. So clearly, we can see that more males took advantage of that opportunity, which reflects vividly the reality on ground. The call was open for both men and women, for boys and girls, but more men, more boys took advantage of that opportunity. It was free. Another scenario organization, we organized a digital skill acquisition program in Nigeria, in the eastern part of Nigeria, for women. And guess what? We had more males in attendance. We had more males in attendance. So we can see that it's beyond access or affordability. Ignorance and nonchalant attitudes amongst women should also be taken barrier to women being. So the previous speakers have really done justice to the topic. Some of them even talked about education and put forward a few recommendations that I think, well, there are some of the things that are already on ground, but I would like to say that we need more investments into internet access and affordability. We need more subsidies and more waivers. I know that during the pandemic, the minister did a lot in trying to ensure that the price, we are able to have more bandwidth for the usual price that we usually pay. Now, we also need more interventions for
round up so that we take you on the second round.
Women and girls to encourage and expose them to the opportunity. I didn't hear you. Could you come again?
I said, can you round up within 30 seconds so that
okay. So
you continue? Yeah.
So we need more advocacies, you know, and digital literacy interventions for women to encourage and expose them to the opportunities and the resources on the internet. So, and then more publicity, expansion of the existing government initiatives, more partnerships, multi-stakeholderism, the previous speakers have mentioned them, and then partnerships that will drive these solutions to the grassroots. Thank you. Thank you.
Martha, thank you. And I hope that you'll be able to share your experience. The issue of motivation is also there. The issue of mobilization, you know, is there. The government opportunities, the barriers that we see, like you mentioned, the global epiphany, you know, the kind of rejuvenation and transformation that is going on the internet world. Skills building opportunities are there. What is the reason? Why are people not going to get it? Why are the women still left behind? It goes back to the issue of what you mentioned as you know, ignorance and also the inactivity at certain levels to mobilize, you know, more girls and more women into the internet world, you know, to join. Okay, I want to quickly, instead of any summaries because of time, to go to the second topic on promoting greater access to internet for women. So thank you again, Martha, for the great, you just stay on because we'll come back to you shortly. Ms. Sada Aliyu, please, can you take us? Sada Aliyu is the founder of Shamrock Innovation Hub. Am I not so happy sitting on this bench, you know, at this time, welcoming all these great women? Please, Sada.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Mrs. Anna. My name is Sada Aliyu, and I'm the founder of Shamrock Innovations and also a women in tech advocate here in Northern Nigeria, Kano especially. So my topic being promoting greater access to internet for women. Let me start. Okay, so it's no news that in less than a generation, the internet has revolutionized and revolutionized the lives of billions of people with unprecedented speed. It has changed the way we communicate, work, learn, and engage with the world around us. It has also become a vital force for empowerment also. And thanks to the internet, some of the world's poorest and most vulnerable people, especially women and girls, can access networks that can help them communicate, set up business, etc. So accessing the internet also using mobile technology in particular is proven to be effective in areas where connectivity infrastructure is limited at best, especially in this part of the country. According to a study by the World Bank, 10% increase in high-speed internet connections can increase gross domestic product, GDP per capita, by 1.3% on average for developing countries. For some, 70% of small business owners surveyed in developing countries expect to hire more people as a result of it using the internet. But this digital utopia is not available to everyone. More than half of the world is still unconnected, and where some lives make a huge difference whether they can take advantage of the internet potential. Almost 75% of Africa population is offline. And almost 85% of the people living in the less developed countries are offline compared with the 19% of people living in developed countries. So whether someone is a male or female, it matters because poverty is a sexist in many ways. Girls and women are hit harder and have fewer opportunities than men. And access to the internet is no different. Women living in less developed countries are at 1% less likely than their male counterparts to be connected. With so much at stake, the United Nations, as part of its 2030 agenda for sustainable development and sustainable development goals, set a target to provide universal and affordable internet access in less developed countries by 2020, which is this year. But this target is not on track. Like 707 million people in less developed countries are still unconnected. One estimate that if current trends continue, the gender gap in less developed countries like Nigeria will have grown, leaving over 75% of women still unconnected to the internet compared to the 63% of men. That is far from equal access. One estimate that this gap will mean that 350 million women and girls will be left behind in this effort to connect everyone by 2020, which is this year. So then how can we make sure that this doesn't happen? And then how can government, private sectors help in this solution too? So we said there are some key points. Investing in digital skills revolution. One. So today, approximately there are 260 million children and youth between the ages of 6 and 17 which are not in school, and more than 114 million young adults cannot read. So without access to education, the internet will do them little good actually. So to ensure that women and girls have the skills to use the internet effectively, there is a need to connect every classroom. National government must work with donor governments and private sectors to connect every classroom to the internet. Leaders should commit to providing every classroom, not just every school, with a broadband connection and the appropriate hardware to use it. This means children can benefit and not just administrators and offices, which can be the case when a broadband connection simply connects to the school. So also prioritize digital literacy. National government must prioritize digital literacy and education in their schools by developing an ICT curriculum to improve digital skills. Training teachers in digital skills. National government, federal government, state government should ensure that all teachers are equipped with digital skills so they can use technology to maximize learning outcomes. Without adequately trained teachers, internet access alone will not improve learning outcomes or revolutionize education in less developed countries, Nigeria. So also another point is to break down the barriers to accessing the internet, to make sure that women and girls have relevant content and can overcome cultural barriers that stop them from accessing the internet, especially the northern part of the country. So the third point is invest in open data and connectivity to calm the unconnected and track committed to connect them, especially those people in the rural areas. Yes. So fourth, last but not the least, is to build infrastructure for the digital future to ensure affordable access for the world's most marginalized people. With this, we can see the challenges girls and women face in accessing the internet and proposes policy recommendation to close the gap, particularly in less developed countries. If the federal government or the government in general, civil society and private sector put together, we can meet this target. If not, we miss a golden opportunity to help millions of people, women, girls, lift themselves out of poverty and ensure they are not left behind in the global transition to digital economy. Thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Sada. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well done. You've done a lot of catch up and moving us forward, the issue of revolution. It's a reality that there's a revolution in the internet world. And the speed you get is how fast you also move in the internet world. Many women living in less developed world, you have specified that they don't have access, and we also have plans at the global level, at the continental level, at the regional level. What is the digital take of all of the plans? I think this is a great point to even for us to look, link up to the AU plans and also some of the plans they have in the UN to look at what they have for us. Of course, if you don't have access to education, it's a double tragedy because there are certain things that we're doing now that we're realizing that without educating the women, they can't go to the level which they want to go. Investment, the collaboration you have called on the national government with the private sector. Without that, we cannot move forward in terms of revolutionizing the digital world and investing in open data. You talk of the infrastructure indeed. And the panel before has dwelt on that. And I think the speech by Prof has also enveloped us on some of the opportunities that are available. But thank you so much. We'll still come back to you. I want us to quickly go to the third speaker on this panel, which is who is going to speak on women and digital entrepreneurship. You know, one of the ladies have really contributed in terms of, you know, how to move us forward. You know, she leads at her own capacity and also building a lot of capacity of many others. Miss Chizova Onoha, are you here?
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear
Please
me?
take the floor.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, and I've learned a lot already from this conference and some of the things I'll be taking away as well. And I hope it's the same for everyone. So I'm currently in the oil and gas industry. I lead the information risk management department of my organization. So I'm in information security specifically. And I want to speak a little bit about She Leads Tech. She Leads Tech is the women program championed by the ISACA body. So ISACA Lagos body, as an example, for those of us in Lagos, promoting women and focusing on increasing the representation of women in technology, in leadership roles, but also in the technology workforce. So it's something that ISACA is pushing, is promoting. ISACA is a global and international body, and we need to leverage it, basically. So we have global alliances with all the other women in all over the world who are also leading She Leads in their own home countries. So we're not alone. And I think that's part of what we need, that we're not doing things in isolation, and that we're building this global ecosystem that is supporting us as women all over the world, so that wherever we are, we're speaking sort of the same language, the same vision, the same focus. So She Leads is doing that, and we want to see more women participating and really joining us in this program. So some of the things She Leads will do is put people up for mentorship. It will also look out for women who can be mentors, and then we do also mentorship pairing. We will also try to continue to foster and advocate for representation of women in organizations or basically in leadership positions. I want to just say something, stepping back, because I've heard a lot of the speakers, and I recognize what Martha is saying about some of the opportunities that are there. And I want to say, there's something around the psychology of the woman that we need to shift and we need to change. Because that psychology sometimes is what makes women not put themselves out there to, you know, for an opportunity. So we need to always go back and look at that psychology about, you know, around how women are built. Are we too shy? Are we not, you know, do we feel less capable? Because there's a speak either from culture or when we grow up that makes us feel like we're second place and we're less than the men. And that psychology is what we have to live through. So some of these mentorship programs is really also helping women to overcome those psychology, you know, that whole, to grow in that space so we can overcome limiting beliefs. Because just speaking in this conference and in this call, there's no shortage of capacity, of skill, of intelligence, of knowledge than the men. So I think it's essential that we also see how we can put all these either programs, mentorship programs, strengthen them so that women feel a bit more empowered, even as a person, to then put themselves up forward. So I think that's one of the strong benefits of associations like She Leads or Women Association, and we need to continue to champion those activities. I think, again, when we talk of recommendations, when we're going forward, we need to build more synergy. So for She Leads and She Leads organization, we do have alliances with a number of global She Leads communities, but we need to not just focus on just the She Leads, we need to build synergy with all other women groups, both locally and internationally. So I think something to put down for a recommendation, how we can really build this ecosystem that is really strong and we can all leverage it. Yeah, I want to just say in this, there's no better time for a person, for anybody in technology than now. Because if you look at the history of companies or the great, biggest companies in terms of their revenue position and all that, there used to be oil companies a number of years back. But look today, it's all, the leading companies are all the tech companies. So it means that the opportunities are significant for everybody in the tech industry. And the opportunities are significant and available for women as well. I want to just share a few statistics, if I may, on companies and how they are represented. Sorry, give me a second. In the tech companies. So if I look, take Apple, for example, there are only 20% of women in Apple as a company. And that's almost the highest representation of women. Now, if you look down in technology specifically, so they may be in HR, but in technology. But if you then look down at other companies, Twitter, Facebook, and going down that, you'll see that the numbers are significantly, or the percentages are dwindling. So we're only represented in technology by maybe 20%. And then the men are basically doing 80% of it. I know maybe Jack Ma's company is an exception because Jack Ma says he has 49% women on his workforce. So I think that's almost one of the biggest representation of women in a tech company that I know of from the research and from the studies. But there's a lot to do in terms of how do women come into the tech spaces, because if you're not already there in the tech space, there'll be fewer women in leadership roles as well, basically. And I think it's very foundational from that early starting point. So, when we say in our homes, do we say when you want to fix your TV or you want to fix your phone, configure your phone, your laptops, you're calling it on a man, or you're calling on your sons to do that? Do we have the psychology that maybe there's a sort of role meant for a man to play versus should a woman be doing that? And I think I like to still touch a lot around the psychology of, where we all are. And shouldn't we put women more to do those things even from home? If I'm configuring my laptop, then why can't I call a lady to do it? Why my phone and all of that? So you almost find that men are automatically put out there to do technical things than women are. So something we need to change right from inception. Now, when we take statistics of women, people graduating from colleges, bachelor's degrees, there's almost a 26% gap between men graduating than women graduating in tech. Now, if the gap is already there, it will translate into the organization, it will translate into entrepreneurship, and it will just dwindle on the number of women represented in the tech entrepreneurship or in organizations. So basically, I know a lot of speakers have talked about what we need to do from inception, very foundational education, really strengthening all those places. Still talking about recommendations, then we can say, can we keep specifically some KPIs? Because I know the keynote speaker spoke a lot about things we're doing and we can do individually, but I think again, we should add tracking. Yeah, there needs to be some KPIs that we are really tracking. Yeah, are we tracking, say, for example, the number of women who get into tech to study technology, secondary schools and then universities? Do we have a KPI for, at least for us in Nigeria? Do we have a KPI that is tracking the number of women that then get employed in tech? Do we have a KPI that is then tracking the number of women that are in leadership roles in tech? The number of women who then get into entrepreneurship in tech? So we need to track as well and keep those KPIs so that when we stop, those coming behind us will continue. So there's sort of a synergy. We're all building together and working together so that, like I heard when they talked about the minister, ex-minister, Mrs. Mobolaji Johnson, that she'd done an enormous work. That enormous work needs to be tracked and then needs to be continued, right? So there needs to be continuity in what we're doing. And we need to keep those KPIs going so that we can track it and others coming behind us can follow. So something about recommendations. And the other thing I want to touch on in entrepreneurship, I've said there's no better time than now. Now, a number of venture investors, and I know a few, so I've worked with a few, they are very interested. Some of the criteria that they are looking to give those funds and investments and to invest is around how many women are on the directorship board of those companies, how many women on the board, or is a woman behind the company. You are more likely, if you are leading as a woman in that your entrepreneurship startup or whatever, to get the fund than maybe even a male counterpart. So I think, and this is really from an international perspective, we need to bring those kinds of either policies or frameworks or all those kinds of thinking locally as well, so that even our local investors are also giving those same sort of preferences to women. So there's a big support that can be leveraged. So from mentorship perspective, like Shilis is doing, from investors, and some of us need to also just mention all those platforms, resources, and things women can take advantage of and find a way to make it visible so people can use it. And also encourage women. Like I said, almost there's a psychology around women feel, I just need to take a backseat. We need to overcome that. We need to overcome that psychology. I know Martha touched a lot around all those free opportunities. And at the end of the day, you find out that, men were really the ones who went and put themselves forward for those opportunities, and women were taking a backseat. So we see that also even in our mentorship programs. We put out these mentorship programs, but the number of registrations are a bit fewer than we expect. So we want to encourage more women to stay, in the associations, to register, to put yourself present, to show up, to be there. Like all these conferences we're doing, let's have more representation, more women. The more we're all together, the more we're speaking about it, then we can take it forward. But in terms of is there an opportunity? I think there's no better time than now. And I know Habiba kind of mentioned her experience, and she was thinking maybe she should be switching some to another field. But I would say there's no better place to be now than in technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Chizoba and the work that you are doing. I am happy that you have listened to the previous speakers and the young woman who came up, Hassana. I think Hassana will be a test case for this very forum, on how we pick her up here, because I know this is an intergenerational, conference we are holding, and a lot of quality people are in here. And when we listen to the young ones, is the way the opportunity of this forum is giving us that we can take it forward. I hope, YZ, that you take down Hassana's details to see who we can connect her with. Chizoba should be able to connect with her very strongly, and all of us want to connect with her to see, so that she doesn't just change her mind, she can have more opportunities, than changing her mind from, the internet world where we're lacking women into another area where there are opportunities. So I want to say thank you for the mentorship program is a very big one, but we are also looking for opportunities. Where do they go after mentorship? Where do they go from there? There is no, for now there is no tracker, but this is one area where we can envelope, because I know even CITAD alone, the number of women, I don't know if YZ has the data on that, how many women they have trained in Northern Nigeria on technology. And I hope that YZ, because of the professionalism and also the area you'll be able to go to the south, east, and also west, for some of this. I know there is a lot that is going on there, but the particular of the people that you are targeting, I think it needs to be spread too. The psychosocial, the psychology of women, why are people not entering there? I think that is something that we have to deal with. It depends on how you challenge the mind, or the women who are determined. You can't lead every girl. You can't lead every woman too, but those who are determined, can we open, the surface for them? Can we open the area for them in terms of building confidence and self-esteem? That's one area that I thought people didn't have problem with. But I can tell you, I went to conduct a training in Kenya, and I had to provide a whole, workshop on that for a whole day, discussing self-confidence and self-esteem. These are some of the things we can include in all the trainings and the mentorship you do as well, because a lot of people have their, confidence shredded. And so bachelor's degrees, you talked about the inadequacy, the numbers of women that are going to the tech area, and keeping the, tracking the KPI in the different sectors that we are, I hope that we'll be able to come up with some of the things, so profile solutions to that. But you're already doing a lot. I think we need to congratulate ourselves and everyone in this forum for the work that you have done so far. I want to say that just contributing to the area of when you go to the villages and all that, there is a work that actually did with CITAD, or we are doing with CITAD, where we have created, computer labs in some villages, and they were able to, the high-level forum this year, the UN high-level forum was attended from the villages, this year. And these are things that are very unique, and I know that others are equally building the same form. And so we want to look at some of the questions that are coming up. And so I want to ask the panelists to take note. One is from Zainab. Zainab said there has been advocacy for gender digital rights. Are we sure the women in the community are sensitized and carried along? Because it is only the educated that are on the table to discuss and take decisions. So how do we get to those at the grassroots level to be involved? I think, Martha can take that. That's Zainab. Hafsat has asked any website to learn more about internet. I think Saada can note that down. Another question there that is coming is, I do appreciate the presentation, because especially in my community, it looks like it's a shame to let your daughter go to tertiary institution. I think that's another, that is adding up to the one before. How can we, how can I have a gender, please? Khalifat did not, maybe when you put a hand up, you'll be able to look at what you are really talking about. How do one secure a partnership with Parents and Teachers Association for free online safety workshops? Most parents and teachers are not enlightened and subsequently training and building of their online safety capacity. Is also another, I think individually you can respond to maybe what you think. Thank you all for the insightful information. I think from there, if we can go back briefly, I don't see hands up. Do I see hands up? No. So can we start from Martha? Martha, can you just respond? Just a response and maybe a brief or something that we have not heard from you from those questions. There aren't any real questions in the federal. I think, okay, somebody from the chat box says, I think the federal government should declare war on female education, especially in the rural areas, because no nation will develop in its, if its citizens are mostly illiterate. Martha, can you respond to that? Okay, so can you hear me? Yes, please. Can hear you loud and clear. Okay, so if the previous speakers, some of the previous speakers actually dwelt on the rural area challenges. And one of the main challenge faced by people in the rural area is lack of infrastructure. However, what we did in my organization, Women in Technology in Nigeria, what we did is that we disaggregated the women folks. So students, women on campus, we have a program for them. Early career, we have a program for them. Women who are returning to the workforce, we have
program for them. And so incomers, entrepreneurs, seniors, mid-career, volunteers and interns, educators, and rural women, including youth, and even men. We include men because men have a huge role to play under our E for She movement. So what we did for rural women is this. We have reached over 12,000 rural women in Nigeria within the past 4 years. We partnered with Intel and USAID to reach out to women. And so what we did was that during the training, we carried our own generator, our own internet, our own computer. In fact, we're always going around with trucks. So reaching out to rural women, we really require investment. And it requires investment and it requires resources. It is doable, it is practicable. And then we also need to mind the security situation in Nigeria. The insecurities is another huge barrier, which I don't think we have really dwelt on insecurity now in Nigeria. So that is another barrier. However, there is no barrier that cannot be surmountable in this era. So yes, we do reach out to rural women once we have the right partnerships. Then for the other person who asked about parents and teachers partnership, there are various programs. Like I always say, the internet has a lot of resources that people are not harnessing. Even when some people have access to the internet, well, I'm not against BB Niger, but you see that they have enough bandwidth to watch BB. What do they call them now? Is he
Brother?
Oh, this
Brother
show that
Niger.
they do. What do you call this show that is going on now? I don't know the name again. So
Big Brother Niger.
Big Brother. So you know they have bandwidth for all that. So that bandwidth they are using, let them, take a part of that bandwidth and search the internet. Right now, Google have funds flying all around the place for people who want to do programs with parents, teachers, and the general public on online safety. So that's my take. Let's women, reprogram their psychology and key into more of the resources that are available online. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Saada, are you here? Okay, Chizoba, do you have a reaction on what you think you can do to improve the system?
I think, sorry, I didn't get the question accurately, but what we can do to improve our system, or is that correct, please?
Yes, there is a issue of I think it's something that you have raised before, but if you want to propose anything, you can go ahead.
Okay, I'll continue from where I heard Martha speaking around are there opportunities. There's a whole lot that can be done institutionally, certainly. And I know Professor, the keynote speaker, spoke around not just the government, but there are significant policies that government can help to push that will advance the cause for women. So I think it's really clearly articulating what those things are, but also making them visible so women know they are there. Then the bodies that are training women, really teaching them, mentoring and all of those programs, and bringing the awareness to women that we are able. The world was created to be balanced. For men and women, we do a disservice to the world when we step back and we don't step into where we need to stay, because we have allowed that side to be one-sided. It's not the dynamics of how the world should be. So women need to bring in that contribution, bring in our uniqueness, bring in our own strengths, so we can create a balance and more successes across board. So again, I think there's that place around the training, the awareness, that more can be done. But still on an individual note, take advantage of the internet. I mean, there's no shortage of knowledge or resources there. If you want to train yourself, almost everything you need to train yourself is on the internet. Mm-hmm. If you want to start a small business, even if it's on Instagram, you can set an Instagram account and you can start making your money already online. Yeah. But of course, we're talking about accessibility for people who may be in rural areas, availability and all that. It will come. But again, like we've all mentioned, we need infrastructure, because infrastructure will drive that availability and accessibility and all of that. But I think individually, we should empower ourselves. And the internet is full of those resources, and we should take advantage of it rather than doing Big Brother Niger. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chizoba. I just want to cite one example of the issue of education. I want to cite this. We are currently, conducting some baselines on the cooks that are participating on the homegrown school feeding program. And it is shocking to find out what is going out, because women are the majority of the cooks. They are the cooks in terms of, they are the cooks, and they are the ones that have been given to. But because of lack of education, one woman particularly, they told her that no money was coming to her account. So she took her ATM, went to the bank, gave it to a banker, and gave it to customer care and said, no money is coming to my bank. The guy said, okay, what is your PIN number? Tried to insert it, and they went into the PIN and all of that and transferred the whole money that was in the woman's account into his own account. And then they told her that there is no money in her account. So she went back home until we were monitoring, and we got the woman to sit down. Okay, where did you go with this card? What did you do? And we went and they tracked, and they went to the banker, and they were able to track it. Another woman, her daughter was going to give her daughter was giving her 70,000 every month, and 150,000 was being paid into her account. Of course, she doesn't know. She has no idea. She was grateful that 70,000 was coming to her account. But we went with papers and we say 150 has been going to your account. It says no. Okay, who have you been giving your ATM to? She says, my daughter. They called the daughter and said, how much have you been giving to your mother? He said 70. How much were you collecting? 150. The bottom line here is education has a lot to do with the internet connection, because the world has gone digital, and we need to encourage. But another thing, so there is a lot that is going on because of education, and we need to pay attention to it. And we should not lose sight of adult education either, because these women need to be empowered, and they have to be empowered to be able to live their lives and participate in the national economy. And so there is a lot that is going on. I want to also say that we can contribute as women. This is a conference that is emulating, is talking about women. What have you done? The women who are now here on this platform, what can you do to support each other? What can you do to support younger ones? What can you do? You have done a lot, but there's a lot that needs to be done. At this point, I'll give one minute for a roundup from my colleagues. We were cheated out of time, more or less. But that notwithstanding, we want to wrap up on time. So I want to say, Martha, if you have 1 minute, what would you want to say as a last point of call? Martha, can you turn on the video so we can see your face? If it's
my video is on. I think it's the host that needs to turn me on.
Host, can you turn on the the video of
Thank you for moderating. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let's see you more often.
Why?
Okay.
What's going on?
Okay, the video of Martha is not turned on. Maybe Martha, you need to continue. Just do your 1 minute. As people are rounding up, I think is also, they need to do
okay.
Yes.
So the success and sustainability of the digital economy depends largely on the inclusion of women and girls as active participants. The quality of Nigeria depends largely on the quality of the lives of the women.
Wisey, can you please mute? Wisey, can you mute?
Okay.
Thank you.
And so the NIGF indeed is an excellent platform to call on policymakers at all levels of governance and stakeholders, because the government cannot do it alone, to expand and accelerate efforts in mainstreaming gender inclusion at all levels of policy engagement to ensure that we have a more gender equitable nation. Education is important, employability is important for women, but most importantly, we need access and affordable internet for women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Martha. Well done. Thank you. Sada, are you still here? It looks like Sada disappeared. Okay, can we have a word from Chizoba? Last word, please. In a minute.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I want to sort of end with this small, let's remember that if we don't put ourselves up for change, the technology that the world is already, it's already controlled by technology. If we don't change and adapt, we'll be cut off. We'll be the one who will lose eventually. And that's the kind of message we need to tell the women also at the grassroots. I like the example you gave about the ATM and the card. I had an auntie who 2 years ago, she said she would never go online banking because she will lose all her money. So she takes her cash, she goes to the bank, does cash transaction. So she says, I'm not changing this, you people's technology, it's not for me. But gradually we've encouraged her, and today she's a little bit doing a few online things. So if people don't change, there's no option. We have to just change and adapt. So it's a strong message, whether it's market women, they need to embrace digitalization, they need to embrace technology, and there's a power in it, and they can enrich themselves, and we can change the world by being in that space. Thank you.
And I want to, since we're able to reach to rescue so many women, during the COVID-19 period. COVID-19 provides a huge opportunity. It could be because we are locked down. The other side of it is because of some of the people said the reportage increased because of the awareness that has been raised. Others say it's because so many crimes were committed. The increase in cases or the reportage of the cases is because of the internet. Let's continue to make use of it. I want to say that ActionAid there is a Women Voices in Leadership program, which we have, which is funded by Global Affairs Canada. Is also available for women-led organizations. Whether you are in tech, there are lots of innovations. We have 3 strands of funds. We have the innovation fund, strategy in innovation funds. If you are innovative and you bring up ideas, because we are not prescribing, there is an advert for that approach. ActionAid Women's Rights, department. They can avail you also with the opportunities. And then we have the strategic intervention funds, which is under COVID-19. We have that, and then we have the multi-year grants, which is a 4 or 5 year grant, to only women-led organizations. And this particular funding is not prescriptive. I just want to let you know, for those who don't know about it, that you can access those funds if you have some innovation. Again, I would say, let's not forget, Hassan, and I will follow her up too, because I have a number of friends of mine that would like to hear her story and see how we can connect ourselves. I want to say a big thank you. Thank you, Wisey, for the opportunity and for the great work you have done. I know you made an opening remark, a few of it I missed, but the work that you have done, I think if you shared it or if you share it with this platform, it will be a mind-boggling one. I want to say congratulations to you, and I want to say congratulations to NIGF for everyone that have been here. So let me hand over now. Thanks to the panel again, to the umpire. Thank you, back to you. Well done and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Mrs. NLB. Thank you so much for being the moderator of this second session. You have done a good job. And to everyone that has spoken, all the speakers, all those that asked questions, thank you very much for being a participant in the first day of this program. We've come to the end of today's session. And on behalf of the organizers and everyone that was a part of this webinar, I want to thank you for coming for this webinar and staying till the very end. I can see a large number of people are still here from 11 a.m. till now. We are really grateful. We hope that you will join us tomorrow by 11 a.m. same time for the day 2 of the NIGF webinar that is ongoing. So our rapporteurs have been on standby taking notes. I would believe that we're going to have a report of this, and we know that all the inputs that each and everyone has made will be taken into consideration and will have an action plan moving forward. So if there is any other matters arising from Madam Mary, she will let us know, but if not,
thank you. I want to thank the moderators of the session. Thank you for the keynote speaker, and thank you for YZ. Somebody was raising hand. Joseph had been raising hand. I don't know whether Joseph, there's something burning in your heart. Joseph, are you here? If he can be unmuted to speak. If not,
thank you, ma.
Okay.
Good morning, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, ma. I really appreciate all the contributors. What I really want to say in the beginning, I raised up my hand there, but you didn't call me. It's about the issue of Mrs. Isat or Miss, and it has been addressed. I will just encourage her that she should not leave her passion. Computing is an area that is very wide, that all she needs is to acquire more knowledge. And I pray with all effort of other women, she will excel in Jesus' name. Thank you, ma.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that encouragement. Thank you for our moderator. Thank you for YZ Sittard. We are grateful. We are grateful to NIGF MAG and the women organizers of this program. And we want to apologize for all the lapses, whatever it is. But the communique will come out, and our rapporteurs will write up the communique, and we'll share it with all of you since you registered for the program. So we have your email. We'll share it. Yes, we'll share it. Yes. Okay. Thank you. YZ, do you want to say the last word before we close? YZ.
Madam, I would like to join all the others in thanking every one of us for participation, and particularly the excellent ideas, the call to action that have come out from this discussion. Thanks more to the excellent moderation that we have had, and the equally excellent presentation by our speakers. I think that when we started, I was so afraid that it was going to flow. But I think that it has turned out to be very educative, very informative, and quite inspiring. The good work that many of our speakers have spoken about. It's a compendium that if we are able to network better, reach out to each other, I think we can create interesting traction across this country that can end the gender digital exclusion or marginalization in the country. I hope that we will continue the conversation, that it's not just enough for us to have met today online, discuss excellent ideas, and issue a communique. But what is more interesting is what we do after. And I hope that we'll continue to remain connected, continue to remain engaged, and continue to implement those call to actions that have come out of this meeting and many other meetings that will come. I thank you, everyone, Comrade NLB, Comrade NAD, there's too many N's. Mrs. Martha Lade, Chizoba, and of course to Mary, who is really the bulldozer for this particular event, and to our professor, Nike Osofisa. I don't want to tell a story about her, but both herself and her husband actually inspired me. Her husband inspired me into writing poetry, to pretend to be a literary person, and herself inspired me into being an IT professional. So they have played a great role in inspiring me to do what I'm doing. I think I was excellent listening to her. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock.
Thank you very much, and we have come to the end of the program, and it's been a wonderful one. Thank you. You've been a great audience, and you have participated effectively. Thank you, everyone, and bye for now.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, NUB. Bye. Thank you, NUB.
Bye, Mary, and thank you for mobilizing YZ.
Thank you, everyone. If you can see my hand, thank you.
Well.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been good. It's been great. Thank you. Thank you. Martha, thank you very much, Martha. Thank you.
And Nizi, for piloting us. Nizi.
Yes, sir.
We need to thank you for piloting us along.
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Okay.
So, YZ, we will have to put these things together and see how we action, activate some of the suggestions. I think they are good ones. The suggestions they've made, they are great. Let's see how we can. So the rapporteurs, yes.
Hello, ma.
Hello, Martha.
I know that you are finished, but please add just this one statement, please. For Asana, there are many women like that who are discouraged. So my solution is me. All they need to do is to look for anything they like, even if it is tailoring or anything, because they are already eyeing some other area. That's why they want to leave technology. So that other area that is entering their mind, if they Google it with technology, they will now see the ICT component of that area. So there's no area you are interested in that cannot be tied to technology. What happened to me after studying I won't take more than 1 minute, please. After studying computer engineering from the university, I did not know what to do. The only thing I realized is that I love colors. And I thought of going into sewing, but I said, what could I do with my colors? So I started graphics, simple graphics. I started with CorelDRAW, Photoshop. From there, I went into web design. From web design, I went into coding. From coding, I'm building a lot of platforms, portals, and enterprise. And now I'm a core ICT person. So even if it is tailoring, anything you want to do, you can tie it to ICT and technology in general. So that's just what I want to tell her. We may not have time again, but that's my piece. And it's not just Hazana. There are hundreds of women like that who are thinking of leaving. So also at Whitney, we mentor as well, just like Sitat. You should join I think if you talk to Oga now, Oga Sitat, I find it difficult to pronounce his name. I always call him Oga Sitat. Please, sir, what is the pronunciation of your name?
him YZ.
Okay. YZ. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, let me take my leave. Well done, ma.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for the opportunity.